Today we continue our journey into the Heart Sutra, one of the most profound and beloved teachings in Mahayana Buddhism. Though the sutra is remarkably short, it contains a depth of wisdom that practitioners have contemplated for centuries. Its opening line alone offers a complete path from suffering to liberation. The first words of the sutra are, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, while practicing deeply the perfection of wisdom, clearly saw that the five aggregates are all empty, and thus relieved all suffering. In this lesson, we will focus on the first part of this sentence, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Before we can understand wisdom, emptiness, and liberation, we must first understand why the sutra begins with the embodiment of compassion. This is not an accident. The sutra teaches us from the very first word that genuine wisdom must be guided by a compassionate heart. Let us explore who Avalokiteshvara is and what this bodhisattva can teach us about our own spiritual journey. The Heart Sutra begins with the words, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, while practicing deeply the perfection of wisdom. Before exploring wisdom and emptiness, it is important to understand who Avalokiteshvara is and why this bodhisattva appears at the very beginning of one of Buddhism's most profound teachings. Avalokiteshvara is known throughout Mahayana Buddhism as the embodiment of great compassion. The name can be understood as the one who hears the cries of the world. This does not mean merely listening with the ears. It means being deeply aware of the suffering experienced by living beings and responding with kindness, understanding, and a sincere wish to help. Avalokiteshvara represents the compassionate heart that refuses to turn away from pain. Imagine standing beside a river after heavy rain. The water carries branches, leaves, and debris. Most people may notice the river and continue walking. A compassionate person notices not only the river, but also the struggling animal caught in the current. Avalokiteshvara symbolizes the mind that immediately recognizes suffering and naturally wishes to relieve it. Compassion is not forced. It arises from seeing clearly. Many people think wisdom and compassion are separate qualities. They may imagine wisdom as intellectual understanding and compassion as emotional kindness. In Buddhism, however, the two support each other. Compassion without wisdom can become exhausted because it does not fully understand the causes of suffering. Wisdom without compassion can become cold and disconnected from the lives of others. Avalokiteshvara appears in the Heart Sutra because true wisdom and true compassion are inseparable. Consider a doctor treating a patient. Compassion motivates the doctor to help. Wisdom allows the doctor to understand the illness and prescribe the correct treatment. If the doctor has compassion but no medical knowledge, the patient may not recover. If the doctor has knowledge but no compassion, the patient may feel neglected. Healing requires both. In the same way, the Buddhist path requires both wisdom and compassion. The title Bodhisattva carries deep meaning. A bodhisattva is someone who seeks awakening not only for personal freedom, but also for the benefit of all beings. Rather than pursuing liberation alone, a bodhisattva dedicates their life to helping others find freedom from suffering. This aspiration is one of the defining characteristics of Mahayana Buddhism. An analogy often used is that of a guide crossing a dangerous mountain pass. The guide knows the safe path and could reach safety alone. Instead, the guide stays behind to help everyone else cross the mountain. The bodhisattva does not abandon others. Compassion motivates them to walk alongside those who struggle, offering guidance and encouragement. Avalokiteshvara is especially important because this bodhisattva demonstrates that compassion is not weakness. Sometimes people think compassion means being soft, passive, or sentimental. Buddhist compassion is much deeper. It requires courage. To remain open to suffering without becoming overwhelmed demands great inner strength. Avalokiteshvara represents this fearless compassion. The Heart Sutra begins with Avalokiteshvara because the teaching of emptiness can easily be misunderstood. Without compassion, discussions about emptiness might seem abstract or detached from everyday life. By introducing Avalokiteshvara first, the sutra reminds us that the purpose of wisdom is not philosophical debate. The purpose of wisdom is to relieve suffering. Think of a lamp in a dark room. Compassion is the desire to help people find their way. Wisdom is the light that reveals the path. Neither is complete without the other. A desire to help without understanding may lead people in circles. Understanding without concern for others leaves the room dark for everyone except oneself. The lamp shines only when both elements work together. As students of the Heart Sutra, we begin by reflecting on our own lives. How often do we notice the suffering of others? How often do we respond with patience instead of judgment? The path of Avalokiteshvara does not begin with extraordinary acts. It begins with simple awareness, listening carefully, speaking kindly, and recognizing that every person carries struggles we may not see. The first words of the Heart Sutra therefore introduce more than a historical or symbolic figure. They introduce an ideal that every practitioner can cultivate. Avalokiteshvara represents the compassionate potential already present within us. As we study the sutra, we are invited not only to understand wisdom, but also to develop a heart capable of embracing the suffering of the world with courage, clarity, and kindness. Today we learn that the Heart Sutra begins not with a discussion of philosophy, emptiness, or meditation techniques, but with compassion. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva stands at the doorway of this sacred teaching to remind us that wisdom and compassion must walk together. One without the other is incomplete. As you move through your day, try to carry the spirit of Avalokiteshvara with you. Listen a little more carefully. Judge a little less quickly. Notice the struggles of others, even when they are hidden behind smiles, achievements, or ordinary conversation. These small acts become the foundation of the Bodhisattva path. In our next lesson, we will explore what it truly means to be a Bodhisattva and why the aspiration to help all beings is considered one of the most extraordinary commitments in Buddhism. May your practice deepen, may your wisdom grow, and may your compassion benefit all beings.